Good morning and welcome. I want to begin today directing your attention to Psalm 101, and I'll read it at this time and make a few comments. I will sing of steadfast love and justice. To you, O Lord, I will make music. I will ponder the way that is blameless. O when will you come to me? I will walk with integrity of heart within my house. I will not set before my eyes anything that is worthless. I hate the work of those who fall away. It shall not cling to me. A perverse heart shall be far from me. I will know nothing of evil. Whoever slanders his neighbor secretly, I will destroy. Whoever has a haughty look and an arrogant heart, I will not endure. I will look with favor on the faithful in the land, that they may dwell with me. He who walks in the way that is blameless shall minister to me. No one who practices deceit shall dwell in my house. No one who utters lies shall continue before my eyes. Morning by morning I will destroy all the wicked in the land, cutting off all the evildoers from the city of the Lord. Amen. Well, during this time apart, as we've been producing these video messages, I've been encouraging the church to remember the Psalms, even though we're unable to sing them together congregationally. And I've been trying to find a psalm that connects with the passage before us in Philippians each week. And I hope as you think about Psalm 101 today that you'll see connections with the passage we'll be looking at in Philippians, which calls us to walk in a manner worthy of the gospel. Psalm 101 is a song of commitment. We find that as the dominant theme here. Verse after verse, you find these I wills, these commitments of the heart. And they're all focused on a desire to please God, to honor Him in our conduct. And it starts there right in verse 2, really, walking with integrity of heart. And we have this commitment of the whole person, committing our minds and committing our eyes and our speech and the company we keep. And every aspect of life is devoted to the Lord. It's describing here a zeal for holiness. As Christians, this should be our heart's desire to put to death what is evil in us, to put to death the deeds of the flesh, to crucify the flesh, to mortify the flesh, and to bring to life the spirit and what is spiritual in us. And so it's very strong language, but it's the language that we find out throughout the Scriptures. This is a life or death matter, really. This pursuit of holiness, the new life we have as Christians, is described in that stark language. And so I want to encourage us to think about the message of Psalm 101, and especially in this time where I think the longer this continues and we're apart and the routine of worship and fellowship has been upset in our lives, the threat of temptation becomes stronger and stronger. If we're not careful to guard our ways, if we're not very self-conscious in committing ourselves to the Lord and making this our prayer, these words here, if we're not saying this in our own hearts, we're very much in a vulnerable place spiritually. And we want to use this occasion today especially to remind ourselves of that struggle we're in pursuing holiness, and not to give up in that struggle, but to press on in it. And Psalm 101 maybe can serve as a wake-up call of sorts to remind us of our need to be pursuing holiness even at this time. I wanted to note a couple things, though, that maybe are helpful in this pursuit of holiness. As we look at the structure here of Psalm 101, perhaps there are some keys to help us walk with integrity of heart. If we take that as the theme for the whole psalm there at the end of verse 2, I'll walk with integrity of heart. Notice what comes before that. Before that commitment of walking in integrity, a couple of things that I think are keys here for us as Christians as we would desire to grow in holiness. One is what comes before that in verse 2. I'll ponder the way that is blameless. You see the connection there. It begins with an attitude of the mind. I'll ponder what's blameless. And that leads then to a life of pursuing blamelessness, living in integrity. And so verse 2 connects the life of the mind to our actions, to our speech, to our relationships. And I think that's a pattern we find throughout the Bible. It begins with a renewing of the mind, that this transformation of life takes place. We must set our minds on things above, as the New Testament puts it. And that's the message here of Psalm 101 as well. We have to be thinking about the things of God, for those things of God then to fill our lives and to transform our actions. And so that's why we need, especially at the start of the week on this Lord's Day, to fill our minds with God's Word, to meditate on the Scriptures, to hear the message of the gospel, and to reflect on that message. And I hope throughout the week you're pondering the way that is blameless, thinking about the things of God, soaking yourself in His Word, immersing yourself in the Scriptures. That's the fuel, the food for our hearts to lead us to walk with integrity. But even another key, if we step back a verse earlier to the opening verse of Psalm 101, I think there's also a helpful remark here for us to guide us in putting this message into practice. The psalm opens, I will sing of steadfast love and justice. And so if we're to back up even from verse 2 where we say, I'll ponder what's blameless, we go back to verse 1, I'll sing of steadfast love and justice. Psalm 101 reminds us of the power of music and why singing is commanded of us as believers. We're called by God to sing His praise, to sing His word, to sing these praises of the Psalter in particular. And as we sing of God's steadfast love and justice, this message that fills the Bible that we find throughout the Psalms, that music, these songs then are filling our minds. And it's the message then that sticks with us throughout the week, and we it's one of the reasons why we sing the Psalms, to hide this message in our hearts, that it would come to us now in this time of need and be a help to us, an aid to us at this present time. And so I want to encourage us to not lose sight of the call here to sing of God's steadfast love and justice. Again, we're not able to do that congregationally, but nothing prevents us from individually or in our homes as families singing of steadfast love and justice. If that's a struggle for you, find music to listen to as an aid to help in the singing of this praise, that God's steadfast love and justice through the power of music, through the power of the Psalms, would fill our minds and guide us then day by day as we seek to walk with integrity of heart. I think the psalm here gives us kind of a pattern for how this pursuit of holiness can be accomplished. It's with the transformation of the mind, and as an aid to that, also the power of song, the power of music to change our hearts and change our thinking. We need God's praises now more than ever as we struggle with these present difficulties that we're facing in life, we can learn from Psalm 101 to sing of God's steadfast love, to ponder that message of His Word, and then allowing that Word then to direct our steps as we seek to live for Him. Amen.